people look forward to retirement. It's a period that feels like a reward after years of hard work, a time to finally relax and enjoy a quiet, peaceful life. But imagine that peaceful time being cut short not by sickness or old age, but because someone was holding a deep grudge and resorted to murder. That's what happened to retired Justice Margaret Igbetar. She was found dead in her own kitchen, and the condition of her body showed she had been killed days before anyone found her. This was a high-profile case that garnered considerable public interest, but no one expected that when state security agencies swung into action, they would uncover a long-standing grievance that led to the murder of the judge. Let's take a look at this case. On Thursday, August 24, 2023, Justice Margaret Igbetar's son visited his mother at her house on Boko Road, Makurdi. She had not been seen and was not responding to calls for about 2 days, so he decided to check up on her. What he didn't know was that he was unprepared for what he was about to see. On his arrival at the house, he found the chilling sight of his mother in the kitchen. She lay lifeless, and her decomposing remains suggested that she had been deceased for some days. He immediately reported the case to the police, and within hours, the news made headlines across national news media. The details they reported were sketchy because it was a developing case. The only information they could provide was that unidentified gunmen had murdered the retired judge. Some news stations described the incident as a suspected assassination. Soon, the Benue State Police Command released a statement that detectives had been deployed to investigate the crime and bring the perpetrators to book. Days later, the Benue State Governor Aicent Alia condemned the attack and directed security agencies in the state to bring the assailants to justice. When the police arrived at the crime scene and searched Chief Justice Igbetar's house, they found her lying lifeless in her kitchen with deep cuts on her back. So who was this woman whose life was taken so violently? Her name was Justice Margaret Igbetar. She was a former president of a customary court of appeal in Benue State. Born on October 17, 1950 in Benue State, she was the first female lawyer of Tiv extraction. She built an impressive legal career through years of dedication, discipline, and determination. The late Justice began her career as an assistant registrar at the Grade 1 High Court at Sinahala, Benue State in 1971. She rose to become a judge of the Customary Court of Appeal in 1995, a position she held till 2003 when she was appointed president of the court. She was a founding member of the International Federation of Women Lawyers, Benue State, among numerous other positions she held. She was also a member of the Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution in the year 2000. She was often referred to by many people as Iron Lady due to her highly principled nature. She retired from service on October 17, 2015 and was living a private life before her death. In September 2019, however, she was involved in a controversy over an alleged 800 million naira proxy bank account. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) charged her before an Abuja High Court for allegedly operating a bank account in her housemate's name, which contained a fixed deposit of more than 800 million naira. The Anti-Corruption Agency asked the court for an interim order to seize the money, claiming it was obtained through fraudulent activities connected to her work. Back to the murder. Initial news reports were inconclusive as to whether the cause of her death was a result of stab wounds or a shooting, but subsequent investigations confirmed she died from stab wounds. Shortly after the investigation began, the police confirmed the arrest of a suspect, one Ayob Demba Joseph, over the murder. But when news update appeared on phones and TV screens, many thought the suspect in custody was a stranger to the deceased, probably a hitman, as initial reports suggested, but they were wrong. A little further on in the investigation, police arrested 3 additional suspects in connection with the crime, but no one was prepared for the disturbing revelations that police had to share. While parading the suspects at the force headquarters in Makurdi, the police commissioner revealed shocking details that the first suspect that was apprehended, Joseph, was actually the late judge's nephew. But the detail that made matters worse was that the 3 other suspects were also well known to the victim. In fact, they were all insiders. Joseph confessed that he had planned and recruited other people to help him kill his auntie. After being caught, he led a team of detectives to Adipo, Kwando local government area, where the other suspects were arrested. The suspects were identified as Biye, a 63-year-old uncle to Joseph, Uko, a 40-year-old man, and Barnabas, who is 32, who was the deceased's driver. Now the question is, what was the motive of this heinous crime? Joseph was bearing a grudge against his auntie because of a land dispute. To give some context, land disputes are one of the most common sources of conflict in Nigerian families. In many homes, property becomes a dangerous trigger. Brothers turn against brothers, nephews rise against aunties, and families are torn apart over farmland and inherited documents. And sadly, some of these disagreements escalate into violence, even murder. This case is one of those tragedies. On Tuesday, August 22, 2023, retired Justice Margaret Igbetar was at her Makurdi home. She had seen her guest off earlier and was likely preparing to settle in for the night. She had no idea that evening would be the last time she would be seen alive. According to investigation, her nephew Joseph, who is 23 years old and an undergraduate of political science at the National Open University of Nigeria, had been nursing deep resentment over property documents his father left in his aunt's custody. He alleged that his father left a lot of property behind, but his aunt refused to hand them over to him. She even withheld the land documents. Joseph claimed he had sold a piece of land to one Uko, but Justice Igbetar allegedly reclaimed the land and threatened to take legal action against Uko and other family members involved. Joseph insisted that since they could not refund Uko's money, they should at least release the land documents to him. But the justice reportedly declined even after repeated summons by village elders. Joseph claimed that the long-standing tension drove him to take matters into his own hands. Just 2 months before the crime, Justice Igbetar had hired a new driver, Barnabas, unaware of the role he would later play in her death. Joseph contacted the driver and told him he had heard that the judge and her family would soon be traveling to the village. He asked the driver to give him access to the house so he could search for the land documents in question while they were away. The driver claimed that he thought it was harmless and agreed, saying he had no idea Joseph had a deadly intention. Between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. that fateful day, the driver opened the gate for Joseph and the other suspects. Uko, along with Biye, they hid in the generator room before making their way into the main house. They confronted the retired justice, and Joseph struck her on her head with a stick. Then Uko struck her with a knife. She was dragged across the floor into the kitchen. After the attack, the gang fled, leaving the driver behind. He later claimed that when he saw the struggle, he protested, saying this wasn't their agreement, but Joseph reportedly told him to forget it. The driver said he ran away out of fear of being arrested. When questioned, he said Joseph had promised to pay him once the land documents were found and the land sold. Joseph admitted that the entire plot was driven by anger and frustration because his aunt allegedly refused to hand over the land documents belonging to his late father. He said he regretted the killing and wished that he had not gone that far. Oko on his part confirmed that he stabbed his deceased, claiming Joseph had instructed him to because the justice refused to release the documents of his father's property. This case is a painful reminder of how land disputes, especially within Nigerian families, can spiral into bitterness, violence, and destruction. Property disagreements that should be handled legally often become an emotional battle fueled by entitlement, anger, and desperation. But being aggrieved is never an excuse to take a life. Anyone who feels cheated or wronged has the right to take the matter to court. Before we continue, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Do you think family elders and village meetings actually help resolve land disputes in Nigeria, or do they make the conflicts worse? Share your answer and comments in the comment section. Justice Margaret Igbetar served her state with integrity for decades. She retired hoping for peace, but instead her life was cut short by the very nephew she once supported. Her death reflects a larger societal problem. However, how property, inheritance, and unresolved grudges continue to break families apart. Kindly share your thoughts and comments about today's case. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.